A rationale of how certain languages are being lost due to ideologies and power struggles. Most all aspects of education are being affected or modified due to global trends in internationalization. In this synthesis, I will discuss the impact of how language and how significant global economic and structural realities make language preservation efforts increasingly difficult. Research proves multilingualism is beneficial to students by improving their ability to communicate. Multilingualism allows for job opportunities, increased creativity, higher cultural awareness, and enhanced national unity. Furthermore, research studies have shown that learning to read in one's native language provides a useful foundation for students learning to read and write in other languages. In other words, supporting the proficient acquisition of one's mother language will enhance the student's ability to learn a second language. Herein the question: if nations are aware of the benefits of being multilingual, why are they not effectively supporting multi-language acquisition? In her article, Language, Ideology, and Power, Antonia Derder examines the politics of language and its struggle between ideologies and power. She claims that indigenous people and minorities are the ones suffering from the international crisis of linguistic genocide. She equates the restrictive language policies of the United States and other colonist nations as political oppression against rights of citizens. Language is part of one's cultural identity. Therefore, the restrictive language policies negatively oppress the citizens of personal cultural identity. This oppression or loss of cultural identity from language restrictions creates a lack of belonging within a community. Darder stresses the ideology of racism, which informs restrictive language policies, reinforces and perpetuates an inherently political strategy of social exclusion, domination, and exploitation that cannot be extricated from its economic imperative. Minority children are the ones suffering from the negative consequences of social inequality because they are forced to forget their culture, which in essence strips them of their academic development and individual empowerment. It is therefore correct to denounce that to restrict people's language is to restrict their expression of humanity. As previously mentioned, Okaw's research outlines the benefits of multilingualism and expands the language genocide is due to imposition of other languages or language assimilation. According to Okaw, it is important to welcome religious, indigenous, official, and foreign languages with equal importance as in language policy in order to ensure creativity and cultural awareness. Despite the known benefits of bilingual education, the United States has passed some anti-bilingual education incentives. Kresham believes this is not due to xenophobia, but lack of information or ignorance on the matter. People do not know that bilingual education has been successful in helping children acquire English. This claims it is essential for better to inform the nation of the benefits of bilingual, to conduct more research on the subject, and to improve the existing bilingual programs. Part of the campaign against bilingual education in the United States claims that one majority language is necessary for national unity. However, Kresham claims early reading and language education provides the shortcut necessary for English reading, emphasizing the importance of recreational reading. In other words, reading in their own mother tongue will enable them to read and write English faster. In Sullivan and Schatz, The Official Language Debate, they explain how ethnic differences in ideologies affect reasoning for supporting or opposing English language legislation. They concluded that European Americans are much more likely to support English language legislation than Mexican Americans. Pro-ELL categories supported by Europeans included the importance of majority language, communication, value of an international language for national unity. They also argued that it was less expensive and that foreigners have the duty to assimilate to the language, hence the culture. Ironically, pro ELL European Americans added that it would lessen hostility towards foreigners. For pro ELL Mexican Americans, ELL is important only for communication and to instill a majority language. Conclusively, European Americans are much more likely to support English language legislation than Mexican Americans, but their reasons fall under and are due to different categories and different ideologies. In the opposite side of the globe, Okunuga argues the need for preserving African language during this time of globalization in education. According to UNESCO, amongst the 6,000 languages and dialects around the world, 50% of them are threatened. Okunuga emphasizes that indigenous languages in Africa are constantly becoming extinct and that it is possible, though very challenging, to preserve these languages while remaining included in the globalization process. Okunuga insists that Africa as a whole has not benefited from globalization at all because it has forced to choose between certain languages and cultures. Globalization is fomenting loss of cultural identity and indigenous and local and national languages due to globalized ideologies of power. Okunuga recommends that indigenous languages be mandatory in the early years in Africa, that each country should promote their language and language policy. He also favors African schools and encourages more communication on the matter. Despite some global efforts to promote cultural awareness, the current support of language multiculturally is not enough. In order to reap the benefits of globalization on a political, social, and economic level, it is necessary for people worldwide to have linguistic rights. Therefore, it is important to support less strict language restrictions to avoid a system shrouded in the capitalist and colonial project that strips the children of their humanity, their culture, their language, and their innate right to be creators of their own destinies. In China, Chinese people are in the midst of a power struggle. The Ministry of Culture, aiming to preserve provincial traditional culture and linguistic heritage, versus the Ministry of Education, whose predominant national language policy is the promotion of Putonghua and simplified written characters as Han Chinese or Mandarin. In a new book by China's leading language policymaker, Yi Yuming, he argues that a clear and coherent language policy is essential in China's role as world leader on a global, political, economic, and cultural stage, and individuals are becoming more increasingly aware of the significance of the issue of language rights. That said, this is a continual power struggle in China. According to Wei Wenzhang, popularizing Chinese Han language is the primary language in China, and English is the second language currently official second language according to national language policy in China. Unifying this language policy is the goal of the central government. However, due to more than 60 years of differing political ideologies in various regions, there is a reluctancy and an opposition striving to preserve local provinces' languages. As in most part of the world, we can see here in China that local and national language policies are constantly changing and continually struggling.